lonely loser with a dead-end job dies of heart attack and gets reincarnated as the son of a noble with godlike powers. Ars was an average ugly loser living in Japan and working at a boring job when one day, while returning back, he ends up having a heart attack and dies immediately. The next moment, he opens his eyes to find himself in a completely different world as he looks at the face of a beautiful woman as he lays on a bed. At first, he thought he was in a hospital, but then he notices a flying dog wandering around the room, while a maid walks up to congratulate the blondie. And that's when Ars notices in the reflection that he has been reincarnated as a child in an alternate world. 3 years pass by without any issue as he learns how to read and write, gaining an incredible amount of knowledge about this world. He learns that the kingdom where they live is called the Summerforth Kingdom, which used to be divided into 7 different kingdoms, before one of them waged war and captured the continent. Inside of the kingdom, he was born in the family of a noble lord of a small village town called Lamberg. He also learns that magic is practiced in this world, which excites him the most. But learning magic remains a dream for him because of his young age. His life is very luxurious as he lives in a huge house, has several servants who always take care of all his needs, while the in-house chef cooks tasty meals every single day. Another thing that is different about him is that he seems to have an ability which no one knows about. To test it, he goes down to the training hall, where all the household guards and people with the ambition to join the ranks of soldiers come to train. Everyone seems very happy to see him as he sits down when he spots a man getting his ass handed to him while trying to learn how to fight with a spear. Ars uses his special ability, which shows him the stats of any person he wants. He notices that the guy has D rank abilities with a spear and a sword, but he seems to have a B rank in archery. He immediately runs up to him and asks him whether he has ever tired using a bow and an arrow, which the guy doesn't take seriously and laughs it off, as he thinks archery is for cowards and women. Ars tells him that he should definitely try using a bow and arrow once, and the guy would have refused to even try it out. But because Ars was the future lord, he decides to follow his command and picks up a bow as everyone watches. He shoots the arrow, and to everyone's surprise, the arrow hits the mark dead center in the very first try. Everyone thinks that it was a fluke, so the guy starts shooting arrow after arrow, only to see that all of his shots are hitting the mark, making him realize his natural talent in archery. He thanks Ars, while everyone starts asking him how he knew this loser would be good at archery. But Ars doesn't want to reveal his powers, and claims that it's just instincts. The only problem with this skill is that he can't seem to see his own stats, which saddens him a little, but he moves on back into the house. Later at the dinner table, he sits down across from his scary-looking dad, and checks his stats only to see that he has a rank abilities across the board, and he is strong enough to defeat 10B rank swordsmen all on his own at once. Daddy asks whether he told the loser to try archery. Ars honestly replies that he did, and his dad simply tells him that it is a good thing for a future lord to be able to distinguish between talented and untalented people. After that dinner conversation, Ars starts learning more about how people rule and learns how twisted and ruthless the real world could be. The rulers of the Summerforth Empire seem to be completely corrupt, while farmers and poor people are revolting all over the area because of poor living conditions, while the politicians are working against the people by using police brutality and other underhanded methods, which makes this world the same as America. He realizes that if this keeps happening, the entire continent will be wrapped in a civil war, and he will probably be forced to lead his forces into battle. This thought truly scares him, as he is not a warrior yet and doubts whether a person like him will be able to keep his family and the people of Lamberg safe and sound. The next morning, he sneaks out of the house and starts wandering through the streets of the village market. But even after wearing a cloak, people who easily recognize him as a woman start asking whether he is out shopping. Ars fat shames her and moves on as he starts looking for people with extraordinary abilities using his magic eye. He tries in on a bunch of locals, only to find that they are all a bunch of useless losers with no future prospects. After some time, he sits down as his eyes start watering because of using the magic abilities so much, when suddenly he hears a commotion. A door is flung open while a racist white woman throws a young man out on the streets, claiming that she has no work for the likes of him. He doesn't seem to have knowledge about this race, but notices that people are calling him a Malkin and claiming that he is filthy and disgusting. He suddenly remembers reading about them in a book which stated that these people belonged to a faraway continent and were purchased by the people of Summerforth as slaves. The young man simply sits on the ground hungry and defeated when Ars walks up to him and offers him a piece of bread. This surprises the man, who introduces himself as Ray, while the people standing nearby wonder why the future lord is trying to help a Malkin. At first Ray seems skeptical, but slowly takes the bread and starts hungrily eating it, while Ars uses his magic eye to check his stats. To his absolute surprise, this guy turns out to be a total baller, having multiple A and S rank skills, which reminds him of Lord Raven, his own powerful father, as he realizes that this guy is going to become one of the strongest people in this kingdom. His eyes start sparkling, while Ray finds him creepy and starts walking away after thanking him. The future lord follows him into an alleyway, while Ray tells him to leave him alone. But Ars finally reveals that he is the son of Lord Lovent, and offers him a job as his bodyguard, bribing him by promising tasty food. Ray ends up agreeing, and they both head back to Ars's house, where they sit down across the dining table, as amazing dishes are presented in front of Ars, and he happily looks up at Ray, only to notice that the racist maid brought him an old plate with beans on it. She tells him that she can't serve a Malkin the same food as the future lord, and the butler tells him to get lost as soon as he is done with his food. Ars cannot believe the amount of racism in this country, but unlike a white American girl, he actually does something to solve the problem, and drags his chair beside Ray, and also offers him to eat together. The maid and the butler try to intervene, but Ars tells them to shut their mouth as Ray is his guest. The maid immediately serves them more good food, which Ray is more than happy to eat. After that, he reveals that he used to work in a band of mercenaries who raised him since he was a small boy. But in a recent battle, all of them died, leaving him alone in this cold, ruthless world. Ars feels really bad for him and takes Ray into his father's chamber, telling him that he wants to hire this guy as his bodyguard. His racist father takes one look at Ray and denies permission, claiming that Malkins are good for nothing and have no real abilities. Ars stands up to his father and tells him that his instincts are saying that Ray has God-given talents that can't be matched by any average person in the entire continent. So his father agrees to give him a chance. He claims Ray will have to pass a test which will be to defeat him in combat. Ars gets scared as his father is a total monster and one of the best swordsmen in the entire continent. He tries to say that it won't be a fair match, but his father disregards him and starts walking towards the training ground. He calls for a pair of wooden swords, while the guards and other people in the ground start calling Ray the M-word. Raven tells them the rule, which are that if Ray is able to land a single hit on him within the given time frame, he will be hired as a guard. But if he can't, then he will leave the village immediately. The timer is set, and the battle starts as Raven rushes ahead with a powerful slash, which Ray dodges, but realizes that even with a wooden sword, that attack might have killed him. Raven then attacks once more, which is blocked by Ray, who still can't believe how strong and fast this lord is. Big Daddy keeps going on the attack, while Ray simply blocks and parries, which scares Ars, but he notices that everyone else seems to be surprised, as no one else has ever been able to withstand even a single attack from the lord. Raven goes all out with his attacks, and manages to hit Ray on the shoulder, forcing him on the ground. But to everyone's surprise, he gets back up again and decides to go all out. As his expressions turn serious, he rushes towards Raven, who tries to counterattack, but Ray dodges and slides beneath him, only to attack from behind, using the sun rays to his advantage, which blinds the lord. Even after that, Raven manages to block the attack, but this is the first time anyone has ever tried to land an attack on the lord. Just when Ray was getting in the groove, Raven tells him that the time is over, but decides to give Ray the win because no one ever came this close to actually landing a hit on him. Ars is overjoyed and congratulates Ray, while his father commends Ars for being able to find another talented individual, claiming that he really seems to have a God-given ability, while the rest of the guards and soldiers surround Ray, asking him for tips and begging him to train with them. Later that day, Ray wears a dress to symbolize his acceptance in the household, and drops to his knees before pledging his allegiance to Ars. Several months have passed by since Ray joined Ars and started working at their house, and even though at first the other workers were a bit racist against him because of his skin color, slowly but surely all of them came to like him. He spars and teaches the soldiers how to hone their skills better, and ever since he started getting lessons from Ars' tutor, his intelligence skyrocketed to the point where he is currently the most intelligent person in their household. Ray also ended up wooing the maids who once hated him, but now like him for his polite demeanor and handsome face. From the past couple of days, Ray and Ars have started having study sessions together where they read up about the history of this continent alongside the current political situation in each domain. They read up about how the Summerforth Kingdom used to be a force to be reckoned with and was the strongest kingdom by far.